our results suffer from the flight or fight response? Have you ever been really stressed or worried about something? Think about how it makes you feel. Usually your palms go clammy, your stomach ties in knots or feels like it's full of butterflies. Your ears might block and your head feels disconnected from your shoulders. When you're in this state, it's hard to concentrate. So why do we do this? Well, our bodies are hardwired with a reaction known as the fight or flight response. If you think back in time to when people were cavemen, you can understand why humans needed this response in order to survive. Their lives were physically dangerous as they faced threat from the environment, wild animals, and even other humans on a daily basis. They needed to be constantly alert and prepared to avoid danger at any minute. To combat the danger, these people didn't need to think or rationalise, and they certainly didn't need to write an essay. They had to protect themselves physically, either by running away from the threat or by facing up to it and defeating it in a battle. Hence, this has become known as the fight or flight response, as the body prepares to either run away or stand and fight. Either way, it's more interested in preparing your muscles rather than your brain. Our lives today are less physically dangerous, but after generations of conditioning and evolution, our bodies will still do whatever it takes to protect us and ensure our survival. In fact, our nervous systems will prioritise our survival over everything else. Unfortunately for us, we have a physical reaction to stress, regardless of whether it's a real physical threat or an emotional or psychological one. People have been shown to react just as badly to the thought of a spider as they do to actually having one crawl all over them. The brain is a very powerful tool, and it listens very carefully to our thoughts to help determine exactly what we need. Whatever we tell our brain, it believes. It doesn't understand the difference between reality and pretend, between sarcasm and honesty. So, when we say things like, "Dad'll kill me if I fail this test," or "I'm going to die," or "This is killing me," the brain takes us seriously and goes into defense mode. These sort of thoughts will be interpreted by your brain as a genuine threat to your survival. Therefore, it will command your body to react accordingly, preparing you to fight or flee. Even though your brain and your body are doing this for your benefit, to keep you safe and respond to the threat that you're telling them exists, this response really doesn't help us during exams. You might want to flee, but you can't. You have no choice but to sit there and concentrate. And with your adrenaline pumping, the blood rushing away from your brain and your heart racing, this will be very difficult to do. On top of that, you may well feel like you need to vomit or go to the toilet, neither of which is a helpful response. So, what should you do? Well, it's important to be able to control this natural physiological response. But to do this, you need to train your brain to override the instinctive reaction. So, here are some tips to help you do that. Number 1, use deep breathing activities to keep your air flowing and to slow your heart rate. You need to stop that blood pumping through your body so strongly so that your head clears and you can think effectively. Breathing deeply will also help you stop feeling like you're going to be sick. Close your eyes and take a couple of long, slow, deep breaths to centre yourself. Number 2, watch your words. Using words that describe school, studying and exams as threats that pose a danger to your survival are not helpful. You need to ensure that you don't catastrophise the situation. Let's face it, sure, failing an exam might get you into trouble or make others or yourself disappointed in you, but it's unlikely to be life-threatening. Dad is unlikely to literally kill you for failing. Studying might make you feel miserable, exhausted and run down, but it's highly unlikely that it will actually manage to kill you. So don't talk about study in the words that you would use to describe a threat. Instead, talk about it like a challenge and use words like manage, overcome, meet the challenge and step up to help you create and maintain the right mindset. We all experience setbacks and disappointments. keeping them in perspective is an important part of our cognitive and emotional development. Number 3, take control. One of the most terrifying things in our lives is uncertainty. When we don't know what challenges we're facing, who our adversaries are, and what the outcome's likely to be, we find it disconcerting and threatening. We can solve this problem by exercising as much control as possible over the situation. And there are many elements of assessment that you can actually control. You control your study. If you've covered all the content and revised and checked your understanding, then you have this one pretty well sorted. You control your preparation, both in the study leading up to the exams and on the day itself. This includes making sure you have the right equipment, turning up for the exam at the right time and place, and knowing what to expect in the exam. You control your attitude. Your preparation and the exam itself will go well or badly depending on your attitude towards it. You can't avoid it, so be as positive about the situation as possible. You control your health. How well you've been sleeping, eating and exercising in the weeks leading up to exams is entirely up to you. It's important to get this balance right so that you're not too exhausted and run down to be able to concentrate. Planning your study and not cramming with all-nighters is a great way to help here. You control your self-talk. Using negative and self-deprecating terms will lower our self-esteem and cause us to doubt our own ability. Instead, use positive affirmations to boost yourself up. Try surrounding yourself with positive statements such as, "You got this," or "Success is yours," in the weeks leading up to the exam. You can control your ability to deconstruct and respond to questions. In your preparation for the exam, make sure that you know the cognitive verbs and what they require. Past papers will help to familiarise you with the typical wording used for exam questions. You can control your time management. You know how long the exam is, and you know how many questions there are on the paper. From this, you can calculate how many minutes you can spend on each question. You should have completed a number of past papers before you actually sit the exam, so you should be used to responding at an appropriate speed. I guess you can't control who marks your paper, but you can ensure that you understand the marking guide and know what the markers are looking for. And sure, you can't control the actual exam questions, but that's about the only bit you can't control. If you approach them in this way, exams become far less threatening. They might be a challenge, but they're not a threat, so your body doesn't need to prepare you to fight or flee. And if you really try, you can even see them as a positive challenge that pushes you to excel. Remember, as always, the goal is to study smarter, not harder. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like it and to look for us on your social channels. For more great study tips, subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our website.